Hi, my name is Mark Antonelli in the Office of Medical Center Operations. This is a video on the safe operation and use of the autoclaves within GUMC. This is a small door autoclave. There are differences between the small door and the large door autoclaves. There will be a separate video immediately following this on the large door autoclave operations. As for the small door, one of the main differences that you must keep in mind is that it's a double hinge mechanism. And what that means is there's a hinge within a hinge. You have the outer hinge and then you have the inner hinge. If you do not have both done and placed when you go to run a cycle, the door will be crooked, as you can see right here. And the way you can tell is because when you go to tighten the door, see how this pin, and the bottom two pins are not in the groove. Now what that means is there is a groove. You must have all the pins, which are right here, inside this groove, which is inside the autoclave. So to properly operate the door, you close the door, then you push on this side of the door. You hear how both have closed. You turn the door, tighten, and all the pins are within the groove. That's the main thing with the small door autoclaves, is making sure the door is closed properly and all the way. Now, as for running your samples and the orange bag waste and the operation of the autoclave. When you go to operate the autoclaves, be sure to wear gloves. This will protect your hands and protect you from being burned or scalded. Also, the samples and trays are very hot. Another key is please check your gloves before use. Make sure there's no holes, rips, or tears, because then you could get burned. Now, the way the autoclave works is there are 4 settings on every autoclave. Setting 1 is for orange bag waste. Setting 2 is for instruments. Setting 3 is for liquids less than or equal to 1,000 milliliters. Cycle 4 is for liquids greater than 1,000 milliliters. The other thing to keep in mind when using an autoclave and operating an autoclave, please read all postings on the autoclaves. This will give you safety information and operation information, and also information on changes in cycles for each machine, if there are any. The default instructions and cycle times and temperatures are posted on every autoclave right here. And you will notice on the bottom of there is my phone number, extension 71497. If you experience any problems with the autoclave, please notify me immediately. That way we can either get a vendor out, or if it's something minor, I might be able to resolve the issue. Now we'll go into operating of the autoclave. For our example today, we will use an orange bag waste. As you can see, the bag is sealed and closed with autoclave tape. The sample is also in an autoclavable safe tray. That's very important. A lot of them are made out of Nalgene or another material, but when you order these, make sure it's an autoclave safe tray. Otherwise, the trays will melt. We have had that problem in the past, and it's very expensive to have the autoclave repaired when a tray melts to the grid or to the walls. So you put your bag in the tray, and make sure with a small door you can only fit 1 bag. Do not overload the autoclave. If you put too many bags in, what will happen is the bag will expand and stick to the walls and to the grid of the autoclave. Once you have your orange bag waste in the machine, once again, you make sure the door is completely shut. You make sure all the pins are properly aligned. You do 2 turns. You don't want to over tighten. Then you go to your panel here. Since this is orange bag waste, it is cycle 1. So you'll press 1, which gives you all the information on what you're doing, and you press 1 again. The cycle is now complete on the small door autoclave. As you can see, it says complete. The temperature is still 212 degrees Fahrenheit with 0 pressure. When your cycle is complete, no matter whether it's orange bag waste, instruments, or liquids, when you open the door, always remember, you'll only open it 1 inch to vent, and then you wait for 10 minutes. Even though for the orange bag waste and for the instruments, it goes right to where you can run another cycle. You do not want to do that, because as you can see, the steam is coming out. You want to vent it for 1 minute. What that will do is lower the temperature, and also what it will do is it'll make it so you do not set off a building fire alarm. Because what will happen is, if you just open it up and go, a lot of times all the steam will evacuate out. Many of the rooms that contain autoclaves contain a smoke alarm. That smoke alarm and fire alarm will go off when steam is introduced to it. 10 minutes have now elapsed. My orange bag is now ready to be disposed of. You pull out your container containing your orange bag. You please leave your container unless it belongs to your lab. If the container belongs to your lab, please take it with you. If the container is to remain in the autoclave room with the autoclave, then please leave it so the next person can use it. You take your orange bag out of the tray, and you take it to the trash receptacle for the autoclave. Place it in the bag. If you notice, the autoclave tape has turned from a clear color in the striping to now a black, which means the autoclave has sterilized the samples. It has reached the proper temperature and pressure. One more thing to remember when you're doing the autoclaves that I failed to mention earlier. Please remember the following. When you go to run a cycle, make sure the door is seated properly and is properly aligned. Also, please make sure to hang a tag on there saying that it's your samples in the autoclave. If you do not have the tag, please contact the Office of Environmental Health and Safety at extension 4712, and they'll happily provide you with a tag which will hang over the wheel of the autoclave. Also, when the cycle is complete, please remember to open the door and about 1 inch, and please wait for 10 minutes to remove your samples or orange bag waste. If it is orange bag waste, please remember to take the bag and place it in the proper trash receptacle. Next, we'll be going to the large door autoclave. Hi, my name is Mark Antonelli, the Office of Medical Center Operations. This is a video on the proper operation and use of an autoclave. This autoclave is the large door autoclave. As you saw in the previous video on the small door autoclave, the large door autoclave does not have a double hinge. It's a single hinge. Opens and closes like a normal door. The large door, though, has holes instead of a groove. Same pins, but if you look at the autoclave, there are holes that the pins fit into. Please keep that in mind when using a large door autoclave. As with the small door autoclave, the large door autoclave has 4 cycles. 1 is for orange bag waste, 2 is for instruments, 3 is for liquids less than or equal to 1,000 milliliters, and cycle 4 is for liquids greater than 1,000 milliliters. When you go to use an autoclave, please remember to follow proper PPE or protective equipment, which is use your gloves. Make sure the gloves have no holes or rips in them because that can cause burns to the skin. Also, please use autoclave safe trays when doing anything in an autoclave, whether it's liquids, instruments, or orange bag waste. Trays like this, the metal trays, must be put inside an autoclave safe tray. Reason behind that is this metal will become very hot. You're dealing with 250 degrees Fahrenheit operation of an autoclave. When these come out, even at 70 degrees Celsius, you're still dealing with around 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So this metal is very hot. That's why we say put them in a tray. That way you don't have to worry about anybody getting burned or yourself getting burned. As I said, there's 4 cycles. When you push the button once, it'll give you the information on that cycle. It'll give you the time, the temperature, and the drying time. Also, when operating the autoclave, be sure to read all postings, which will give you information on each autoclave, its settings, and its usage. As with the small autoclave, please remember, if you notice a problem, component failure, or any other issue with the autoclave, please call me directly at extension 71497. That is on every autoclave. Underneath the autoclave settings, and also is also in a large sign that says my number and my department. Now we will run a sample. For this example, we're going to use orange bag waste. It is in an autoclavable safe tray. The bag is sealed with autoclave tape. You place your tray in the autoclave. Thing to remember, do not overload the autoclave. You can only go 1 row. So that means you can usually fit 2 trays, which each has 1 orange bag. If you overload the autoclave with more than that, you run the risk of your waste not being completely autoclaved. That's number 1. And number 2, you run the risk of the bags, when they expand during the autoclave process, melting to the sides of the autoclave, or to the roof of the autoclave, or the bottom of the autoclave. That is a very expensive procedure to have fixed. So we want to try to avoid that, so that way the autoclaves are safe to operate for everyone. So you have your samples in the autoclave. You make sure your door is shut, which it is. You make sure the pegs of the door are in the grooves. Tighten your door. The way you can tell, the door does not move, as you can see. The door is stationary. That's what you want. Now storage bag waste, to recycle 1, 45 minutes, 250 Fahrenheit, and 15-minute dry time. So you push number 1, push number 1 again, and you begin your cycle. Our samples have now been complete in a large door autoclave. As you can see, we hung our tag, which I failed to mention in the first part of the video. But the important thing is to please hang a tag identifying that you're using the autoclave and the contents within the autoclave are yours. That way, if there is a problem or anything, we can identify whose samples they are, and also make sure that your samples or waste have been autoclaved to the proper needed specifications. As with the small door, once the cycle is complete, take off your tag, open your door, but you do not open more than 1 inch. That's very important, because what happens is, if you open more than 1 inch, you will set off a building smoke or fire alarm. Open your door. And wait for 10 minutes to remove your samples. 10 minutes have now elapsed, so it's time to take out our autoclave waste, our orange bag. What do? Take out your tray. Make sure that the tape has went from the clear lines to the black lines to seal the bag, which says that everything has been sterilized and the autoclave has done its proper operation. You take your orange bag and you put it in the proper waste container, which should be by the autoclave somewhere. If the can is full, please contact facilities at 3432 and tell housekeeping to empty the autoclave waste from whatever room the autoclave is housed in. Also, things to emphasize and stress. Please remember to use an autoclave tray. Please remember to make sure the door is properly aligned and set up prior to starting your cycle. Please read all postings and instructions on the autoclave. Please do not use metal containers alone. Please place them in a proper autoclavable tray. Please make sure of all settings. And also, please, when your cycle is complete, to wait for 10 minutes before taking out your samples and open the door for 1 inch and wait your 10 minutes.